Hello. So just to show you a little, a few things I do with soldering and electrics. So what I'm going to do now is just solder these two wires. So I have what I call a fish plate. Now this fish plate is used to join two pieces of track together. So hopefully that will focus in there. So what I've done, I put a fish plate, put it on a piece of track. And what I'm going to do is solder a wire to the bottom of the fish plate. So there's the bottom of the fish plate. I'm going to solder a cable onto. But before I do that, I've cut two pieces of wire. One wire cable is in blue, so that's for neutral. And the other cable is brown. That's going to be the live. And I'm going to have two fish plates. One fish plate I'm going to solder to the blue cable, and one fish plate I'm going to solder onto the brown. So the idea is that the fish plate is going to go onto the track, and then I've got two tracks. So one track is going to be live and the other track is going to be neutral. And I'm going to solder them to the railway. So what I've done, I've got my soldering iron up to temperature. I've cleaned the tip, nice and clean. Always keep your tip clean. And what I'm going to do now, I've got a nice clean connection. I've only done it a minute or so ago, so I know that's a clean connection. There's no corrosion, no dirt on the wire. Twisted it, folded it over, and I've put it in some flux. So now I'm going to get my solder. It should only take a minute. Alright, so I just touch the edge with the soldering iron, and when it gets up to temperature, the solder will just flow all the way over. There you go, just like that. So hopefully that's focused in, and I'll do it once more. There's flux already on the wire, on the blue wire on the end. So I'm going to touch the end. It'll take a second or two to heat up, and as it heats up, you'll know the flux turns into water, and as it gets hot, there you go. Now what you're looking for is a nice bright colour. So then you can see there's a nice shiny colour there. And if you don't think that's enough, you can do it again. So I'll do the same again, touch the end, and then put a bit more solder in. There you go. There's a bit more solder in that. Try and get that in focus for you. There you go. And I'll do the same on the brown. Just touch the end, a little bit of solder, boom. Just like that. So quick, isn't it? So now we've done the cable, I'm going to go on to the fish plates. So I put the fish plates on a little bit of track, got it in focus for you, and I'm going to show what I'm going to do. So I've got an old paintbrush that's just got a little few hairs on it, and then drop it into the flux. So I got a pot of flux which resembles, well, I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me a bit like honey. There you go, that's what it looks like. And then drop the brush in, get a bit on, and then apply it to the area you want to solder. So that's one fish plate, and a second. Give it a good dab. There you go, and that's the two done. So hopefully that's nice in focus, and you can see the flux that I put on the plates, and the soldering irons up to temperature. And like one thing that you always need to do before you start is what's called tinning, and that is to apply a little bit of solder and then give it a quick clean. So I'll just dab it in the pot of copper wire, and that'll clean the tip. There you go. So that should be nice and clean. And then what I'll try and do is, there we go, this ain't easy. Soldering iron, put it to the left hand side. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I touch it, the paste is going to turn into a liquid, and then there you go. It'll spread across the fish plate. Now I still have some solder on the end of the soldering iron. That's not a problem. Go to the next one. When I touch it, the flux will melt. There you go. So all this is just excess solder on the soldering iron. That can be wiped off later, or you can wait for the solder to cool down a bit. And if you want to add a bit more, just touch it, and there you go. You just put a few bit more on. Okay, so now that is how you put solder onto the plates. So the next step is to get the wire and then solder both together. So I'm just going to bend that over there. Can you see that? So the wire is soldered, the fish plate is soldered. So basically all you have to do is just touch each other, hold each other close, and then just melt them both with a soldering iron, and that'll melt the solder, and they'll just melt together. There you go, quick as that. And do the other one. So this is the blue cable. That's soldered. So put the solder and solder together, touch them, keep them together, apply the soldering iron. The soldering iron will melt all the solder and it'll fuse them together. There you go, quick as that. Give it a second, you have to have a steady hand, and then give it a little tug. There you go, that's both done. So I've got good electrical contact and a solid connection. Right, so that's done.